people are starting to get sick. I only went home today. I've got sick kids at home. Some of you guys are coming back from feeling sick. That time of year. Allergies? How are allergies? Well, that's good. Allergy shots. All right, so here we go. We are trying to write an equation. All right? And the best thing that you can do when you're dealing with word problems is to draw some kind of a picture to help you see what's really going on. So you're hanging 3 pictures. Here are my 3 pictures on a wall that's 16 feet long. The width of each of the 3 pictures are 2 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet. So obviously they're different, right? Although mine look the same. You want to space them evenly on the wall. The spaces to the left of the first picture and the right of the last picture are 6 inches more than the spaces between the adjacent pictures. So we're spacing them evenly. Okay. We know that the wall is 16 feet long, and we're just trying to figure it out, so where to hang them so that it's nice and centered. All right. So let's put all of our information. This is my wall. That means this is 16 feet. Would you agree? All right. What other information can I put into this picture? What else do you see? Yes. So 1 is 2, 1 is 3, 1 is 4. Does it matter which one is 2, 3, and 4? No. Okay. Doesn't matter at all. All right. Well, let's see. Okay. We know that the spaces to the left of the first and the right of the last are 6 inches more than the spaces between the adjacent pictures. So, Megan, why did you tell me to put x plus 6? Because you know 6 more. So this is x plus 6. What is that going to make these spaces then? X, excellent. And then that makes this x plus 6, correct? So what kind of formula could I write, or an equation? Y times 2. It appears twice, right? There's 1 here and 1 here, correct? What else? Plus who? Right. I have an x here and an x here, so there's 2 of them, right? Plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, right. All of those in feet should equal 16 feet. Does that make sense? All right, so now let's see what we got. That means 16 is equal to 2x plus 12 plus 2x plus, are we okay writing 9 instead of 2 plus 3 plus 4? So that tells me that 4x plus 21 is equal to 16. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Why did I think I did something wrong? I'm going to get a negative value for my x, right? Ah. Let's do this one again. So read it again. Where's the mistake? Well, there are 6 more inches on both sides. They're all the same. Oh. Inches into feet, right? So how do I say 6 more inches if I want to keep it all in feet? Plus a half, exactly. So you need to make sure that your units are all correct. So let's do a correction here. Then instead of saying x plus 6 quantity square, we're going to go x plus 1/2 quantity square times 2, correct? And so when we distribute, then we're going to get 2x plus what? What am I going to get when I take 2 times a half? 1. Good. So now I'm going to get 4x plus 10, which means 4x is equal to 6. So x is equal to 3 halves. Oops. Went the wrong way. Which is the same thing as saying like 1.5 feet. So make sure that your units are all the same while you're trying to set this up. You might have the perfect way of setting this up, right? But if your units aren't all the same, then it doesn't translate evenly in the problem, right? And look to make sure that your answer makes sense. I knew I had done something wrong because I got a negative value for my distance, and distance is never negative. Okay? All right. Here we go. Write an algebraic expression. Term. Zeros term, first term, second term, third term, fourth term. My value, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. All I'm asking you to write is basically the equation of the line. Here we're constantly going up by what? 1. And at 0, we know that that value is our y-intercept, isn't it? When x is 0, isn't that our y-intercept? And what are we always going up by in our y values? Okay, so if we're going to let this be our x value and this be our y value, how do we find slope? It's the change in y over the change in x. We're going up by 2's and we're going up by 1, correct? So my slope is 2. So y is equal to 2x, and do we know what the 0th term is? When x is 0, what's y? 8. So there's the equation of the line.
Wait, how did you get that the slope is 2?
Because I'm going up by 2, so my difference is 2 over the difference of 1.
Oh, okay.
Change in my y's. I'm constantly going up by the same amount, and I'm going up. My x's are going up by the same amount. They're changing by 1's, and the y's are changing by 2's. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, here we go. What are my x's going up by? 2's. Or these are my y's, right? And my x's are going up by? So what is my slope? So y equals 2x plus, do I know what the 0th term is? Can I figure it out? Because the 0th term is the one right preceding this first term, right? So what would the value down here be? Because we're always going up by 2. So if we go 1 past, that means that's going to be a 6. Well, what do I add to 2 to get to 8, Madeline? Right. See, I'm always, to go from 8 to 10, I'm always adding 2, right? And from 10 to 12, I'm adding 2. And from 12 to 14, I'm adding, so if I got to go 1 path prior to what I'm showing, I got to subtract 2. No, it just means this is my first term, and our y-intercept is always when our x is 0. Our y-intercept is when x is 0. So here I'm saying x is 1, y is 8. X is 2, y is 10. So let's go back a level. When x is 0, y would be 6. And then that finishes our linear equation. You have to figure out when x is 0 to figure out what your y-intercept is. Okay?
Wait, why do you have to do that?
Because doesn't this represent our y-intercept? Okay, and our y-intercept is when x is 0, right? So if I'm only showing you the first term and I'm not showing you the 0th term, figure it out. Yes?
Well, why the first equal with the y-intercept is 8?
It is. See? Sorry. Okay. All right, given the pattern, find the 10th term. Okay, so let's do our little box. So the first term is, the second term is, the third term is. So my x's are going up by 1 and my y's are going up by This is 1. This is a change of 1. So that means my slope is what? Over 1, which is 3. Do I know what my value for y is when x is 0? But I can go backwards, can't I? What would my y value be? So what's the equation of the line? Y equals 3x plus 2. Is this making sense?
But yeah, but so you go, like you just do 1 to 3 until 10.
Nope. All right, wouldn't I plug in 10? My 10th term is when x is 10. My first term is when x is 1. My second term is when x is 2. My third term is when x is 3. I get 11, right? So for my 10th term, I'm going to let x be 10. And what am I going to do? I'm going to plug it into my equation, aren't I?
So you'll just find y.
Right. So 3 times 10 plus 2 is...
Where do you get 2? It gives you that? Okay, just kidding.
Where is my 2? Where did I get my 2 from, Ani? Because I had to figure out what the zeros term was, right?
Yes.
Right? Didn't we just do that in the other one? This was my x and this was my y. I can now also go back. To find the 0 term, I'm going to subtract 3, and that gives me 2 here, so that the pattern continues. I can go forward with my pattern, or I can go backwards with my pattern. Does that make sense? Y'all okay with this now? So remember, this value is when x is equal to 0. And if it's not given to you, then maybe you have to find it. Okay? Questions? Okay, so the table shows the number of seats in each of the first 4 rows of an auditorium. The remaining 10 rows follow the same pattern. Find the number of seats in the last row. So how many rows are there altogether? Aren't there 14? Because I'm saying the remaining 10 rows, yes? So I'm showing you 4. And so I'm looking to see what is x when x is 14. What is my y value? And my y value, would you agree, is my number of chairs? Are you with me? Okay. Because in the first row, I have 12 chairs. In the second row, I have 14 chairs. In the third row, I have 16. In the fourth row, I have, now this is following the same pattern, okay? So that means all we're doing is writing the equation of a line so that we can pick when x is 14, what's my y going to be? All right, so we figure out the slope is what? So my slope is going to be the change in my y's, which I'm always going up by 2's, and the changes in my x's, I'm always going up by, so that's 2. When x is 0, what is y? Right? Isn't that my y-intercept, right? So what's the equation of my line? So there's my equation. Now I want to finish the question. When I need to go to the 14th row. So y is going to equal 2 times 14 plus 10. Right. Making sense? Okay. Not so bad? Is that it? Almost. A car uses 16 gallons of gas and travels 460 miles. The car's efficiency is 30 miles per gallon on the highway and 25 miles per gallon on the city. How many gallons of gas were used on the highway? All right, what do you think? Well, we're going to have to do some kind of an equation, don't you think? What do you think your equation is going to be? Well, we are traveling how many miles? You don't know that, do you? Well, we're looking to see a car uses 16 gallons of gas and travels 460 miles, right? The car's efficiency is 30 miles per gallon on the highway and 25 on the city. All right, let's let X equal what? What are our two places that we can travel? The city or the highway. So let X be the, okay. And what will Y be? Okay. So would you agree that we're going city and highway miles and that we're traveling a total of 460 miles? But I don't get the same gas mileage on each one, right? So would you agree that maybe to make this easier, if I let X, what does my X plus Y have to equal? We're going to let this be city gallons and highway gallons. What does X plus Y have to equal? 16. Isn't that how much I use altogether? Right? I'm using all together in city and highway 16 gallons. Okay? So we're going to go. 25 is on the highway, correct? I'm going to say 25 times Y, right? 25 miles for what? Miles per gallon for however many miles I go, correct? Or however many gallons. Plus, what's my next one going to say? 30 equals, no, 460 miles. 30 is, oh, do I have this backwards? Sorry. So 30 should be Y, and 25 is city, which is X. There we go. Do you like it with two variables? So let's change one of them. Remember, how many gallons of gas were used on the highway? Highway is Y, right? So we want our equation with Y's. Would you agree? So how do I change this X into a Y? Think. Why did I write this? Y equals 16 minus X. But if I do that, then I'm plugging 16 minus X in for Y. Didn't we say that we wanted everything in terms of Y? Because Y is highway. We're looking for how much is on the highway. So how about we say X then is equal to 16 minus Y. Doesn't that make sense? You got 16. Part of it's going to be used on city. So city is equal to 16 minus the highway. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to substitute 25 times plus equals. Right. Is this easy now? What do I do now to solve this? So 25 times 16 is what? Minus 25y plus 30y equals, right, like terms. So 400 is equal to, or sorry, plus 25y equals, no, it's just 5y, isn't it? Equals what? So 5y is equal to, and y is equal to? Because it's a minus y, and I'm distributing to that. Who asked that question? Okay, does that make sense? All right, what is 60 divided by 5? So, how many gallons are used on highway? Y represents our highway gallons, so 12 gallons, right? If I asked how many were used on city, how many would be used for city? Because how many do we have all together? 16. So 12 is on one, 4 has to be on the other. Is that a long problem? 2-step. These are not going to be one-step problems this year. You're going to have multiple steps. All right, so you have to think of a plan. Your long-distance phone bill charges $8 a minute for weekdays and $5 a minute for weekend. Your bill is $13.16, and you talk for a total of 220 minutes. How many weekend and weekday minutes did you speak? So what do you want to let x equal? You want to do day what? Day minutes, right? And y will equal weekend minutes. And x plus y is going to equal? That doesn't make sense. Who said that? How can, and I'm just saying, let your units help you. Because that's why, how can minutes plus minute equal dollars? Doesn't minutes plus minutes equal minutes? Right. So let your units help you, okay? And that's a common mistake. So I wasn't trying to jump on you. So we're going to say that that's really going to equal 220 minutes, right? So what kind of an equation am I going to write? Not yet. I've used all the minute information. So 0.08 x plus 0.05 y is going to equal there. Dollars equals dollars. Minutes plus minutes equals minutes. Now, I want to know how many weekend and weekday. So, does it matter which variable I solve for right now? Pick whichever one, x or y. Let's say that y is going to equal what? 220 minus x, right? So what am I going to do now? Plug it in, plug it in. Where do I plug this in? For the y. So this stays the same, doesn't it? Does that make sense that that would stay the same? Because it's already in terms of x, right? And then we're going to say plus 0.05. Now instead of y, we're going to write 220 minus x. And what does that equal? 13.16. So we're going to distribute. We're going to take 0.05 times 220. What do we get? Is it 11? It's 11. Okay. And then 0.05 times negative x, there's a minus sign here. That's going to be minus 0.05x, yes? Equals 13.16. How we doing? You following this math? Combine our like terms. 0.08 minus 0.05 is 0.03. X plus 11 equals 13.16. Subtract the 11. 0.03x is equal to 2.16. Divide by 0.03. And what does x equal? How many? 72 what? Okay, what kind of minutes? Week. Is it weekday? I think it's weekday minutes, right? So how do I find my weekend? Because I'm looking for both. So 220 minus 72 is what y is going to equal, which is what? 100 and maybe 48 minutes. Does that make sense? 10, 10. I think that's right. Is my math right? So this is my weekend, and you've got to tell me which one's weekend, which one's weekday, and here's my weekday. Okay? So units have to make sense. If I've got dollars through my problem, I got to set it equal to dollars at the end. I can't set it equal to minutes. And likewise, if I've got minutes that I'm adding together, I got to get minutes as my answer. So let your units help you as you're setting up all these equations. Okay? All right, is that it? That's it.